Hi, everyone. Okay, welcome. So, some of you might know me. I'm almost always down at Lockpick Village. It's kind of my jam, sort of the thing that got me into security to begin with. So, you might remember me from past talks, such as Lockpicking 101. Bought some lockpicks, now what? Lockpicking Hollywood, which is what we did last year for SAINTCON because they wanted a virtual lockpicking village, and I don't know how you do that virtually. So check out the video, it's kind of fun. Picking locks and why physical security is everyone's concern, blah, 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 blah. No one cares. No one cares. So, can you guess what we're going to talk about today? That's right, lock bypassing, something I've never presented on or don't know a whole lot about. So, okay, a little bit about me. I'm Colin. I go by Didymus. It's spelled weird because, yeah, it's actually SAINTCON's fault that I picked that handle. When I was giving my very first talk, and they said, hey, what's your handle? I was like, I don't have a handle. I don't game. I'm not elite hacker. I was like, cool, well, what's your Twitter? And this is back in like 2016. I was like, Boba Fett survived? Like, you should pick a handle. I was like, okay. So I went with Didymus. So yeah, been picking locks for 14 years, picked it up in college. I had a locksmith uncle who taught me, and I thought, this is really cool. And yeah, my favorite bypass tool is the under the door tool, which we'll be talking about. And a lot of these tools that we have in this presentation, we're going to have down in the Lockpick Village. By day, I'm a senior security engineer for Pluralsight, a lockpick enthusiast. I have a wife, 4 kids. We have a dog. His name's Password123, but I got breached recently, so I have to rename my dog. It's kind of inconvenient. So there you have it. And be sure to heckle as much as you want in random and heckling. I won't see it during, but I'll read it tonight and cry because I don't have great presentation skills. That's what the channel's there for. It's a safe space, I think. I don't know. All right, few things about this. So, like with lockpicking, similar with lock bypassing. Don't do illegal stuff, don't do stupid stuff, or don't get caught. And a lot of my content I actually got from the Lock Bypass Village that they have at DEF CON. They have a website, bypassvillage.org. Karen and Bill had a lot of great content. I didn't steal it, but I'm going to reference it a lot. So I got a lot of the stuff from there. Tried to build out the lock bypass things down in the village based on things we had there. So there you go. And then there's other people who do a lot of physical security, pen testing, things like that. By show of hands, how many people actually do that, physical pen testing, like on the side or for your actual job? I'm genuinely curious. Nice. All right. So why bypassing? So that's a good question for those who actually do physical pen testing for a living. Why would you want to bypass instead of pick locks? Just shout it out. It's same reason you don't try to brute force encryption. Yeah, it's faster. It's interesting. What's the difference? That's what we're going to talk about. So, yeah, I think that's, yeah, next slide, I think, actually. So, it is more reliable, it is faster, and speaking with different physical pen testers, they're like, I will pick locks kind of as a last resort because I can almost get in quicker using some of these other methods and stuff. So lockpicking is the last resort. It's still in their toolkit, but when they're trying to get in, do things quickly, a lot of times they will rely on bypassing. So what is bypassing? I stole this from Karen from Bypass Village. So lock bypass involves ignoring the lock altogether and finding alternative ways to open the door or the cabinet or whatever you're trying to get into, or even avoid having to use the door at all, sort of a situation. And I'll have some examples. I'm going to have some clips and everything, and if we have time, I'll show them, but yeah. So here's some terms, no conditions, but a couple bypass terms. We have latch slipping and loiting, shoving or shimming. This sounds like things you'd get in trouble for in grade school, that you do it during recess, but, you know, whatever. We have over the door and under the door attacks, attacking hinges, you know, so avoid the doorknobs or locks altogether. You're just messing with hinges. Sensors, these are things, you know, that you have in like commercial buildings and stuff. Think fire code stuff. Decoding, magnets, etc. There's definitely more. This is a short half-hour thing, hopefully, so I can't go through all of it. And I'm no expert, so, you know, it is what it is. So this is the all-time best hacker movie ever. There's those that believe that, and then there are those who are wrong. But this is my favorite hacker movie. And it actually aged really well. I think it came out in '92, and it's just really good. So Robert Redford is a physical pen tester before they had a name for that.
Oh. Don't even joke about that.
And they have to get into a secure lab, and they have this keypad thing.
Looks like they just put it in.
Oh, boy.
And they're like, oh boy. These are really hard. Don't even joke about that.
Here, maybe this might help. An old buddy of mine who was in Desert Storm sent it to me. Of course, he was on the other side.
I love Dan Aykroyd's character in this movie, Mother.
Come on,
He's
Crease,
got the
there's
best
gotta be a
one.
way around these
My
things.
buddy in Desert Storm sent
All right.
to me. He was on the other side, but this will just take a sec.
This might work.
By show of hands, who has not seen the movie Sneakers?
Above?
Okay.
Yeah.
Those who have seen it, you know it's coming, right?
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Okay. I'll give it a shot.
Bypassed! Success! I don't recommend
Listen, I'm
doing
sorry,
that.
they didn't have
Whoops,
anything,
go to the next. I don't recommend doing that down in our village, please. We do build these things and all that stuff. So that's one way to do it. You're probably going to leave some evidence. There are better ways. There's lots of interesting, great YouTube content covering this. But we're going to talk about some of the different methods that he could have used. But, you know, it's Robert Redford. You know, still pretty awesome. So, loading and latch slipping. So these are a couple different tools that we have downstairs you can test, try out with. We were selling some of them in the store. But this top one with the orange handle is a shroom tool, or a traveler's hook is another name for it. We have a few of these. These are really useful for moving the latch over. So sometimes you can mess with the lock and try to pick it that way, or you can just reach between the door frame, get that out. We have a full-size door you can practice this on, and we have these little black tabletop doors you can practice this on as well. A similar tool that's a bit thinner is this mini, like Slim Jim. You can get full-size ones, but they have these mini Jims as well. We did have some in the store. We only had a limited set made or whatever, but we do have, you know, I have one here. Had it laser etched with SAINTCON. It was kind of fun. I think I'll throw it in the box later on in the Lockpick Village if you want to win it. So latch slipping, basic concept is this, you know, it's on the side of the door. You're actually attacking the actual lock. So this isn't the dead bolt that actually slips in. This is just the latch. And you're going to have two kinds of latches on it. So here in this side corner, you have one that does not have that dead pin. You can just move that over. And there's some that have this pin that if you push in, if it's a properly hung door, that will be pushed in and you can't move it in. There's a couple ways you can get around that. And we can talk about some of the different ways. You can push really hard on the door so it actually disengages it and pushes it all the way in, and then you can move it over. There's a few things like that. And if it's missing one altogether, you just use the shroom tool or the Slim Jim and you kind of move it over. And with that, I'm going to show a quick little video. This is from the not-so-civil engineer. He actually works for LPL's company now.
Hey everybody, the not-so-civil engineer here, and today I want to talk to you about loading. Loading is a term used for bypassing the latch on a locked door, which either is improperly hung or does not contain a dead latch. For a typical door latch mechanism, the lock prevents the door from being opened not by mechanically blocking the latch from retracting, rather by preventing the handle from turning. This allows us to exploit certain latches by bypassing the locking mechanism entirely and just depressing the spring-loaded latch. There is one additional common security measure which is often put in place, and that's the dead latch. The dead latch is an extra plunger which, when properly installed, remains depressed when the door is closed. The dead latch mechanically blocks the latch from retracting and prevents loading attacks. But when a door is improperly hung or an overly large strike plate is used, the door can oftentimes sit in the frame with the dead latch not depressed. When this happens, the door is vulnerable to loading attacks. First, let's quickly talk about the direction in which doors open, as that dictates the type of exploit that will be used. If you're standing on the lock side of the door and the door opens away from you, that means the chamfered edge of the latch is facing you, and tools such as the wallet-sized door shim, which I showed how to create in my previous video, can be used simply to push the latch out of the way.
We'll talk about shimming in a second, but you can buy these or you can make them.
In the reverse case, where you're standing on the lock side of the door and the door opens towards you, the chamfered edge of the latch is now facing away from you, and hook tools such as the traveler hook or the Jim tool can be used.
All right, you get it? Good? Okay. we'll move on because of time.
Hey, everybody.
Nope.
The
There we go. So shimming, shoving, this is where you attack it from the front of the door. This is where you would get like a laminated something, milk carton. A lot of times you can just find this in like the trash or like someone, like let's just say you're doing a physical pen test and you see a laminated card. You could do that. Some hotels you can use the do not disturb little door hanger thing as well for things like that. Sparrow sells some. This is just going to be a quick little thing, but you can get them in different sizes and thicknesses. So that's basically it, like carding the lock sort of a thing, credit carding, same sort of concept. Okay, under the door tool. So you would never guess what this does by the description, but it goes under the door. So typically you have a long hook with a right angle at the top, and then at the bottom you kind of have this little handle, candy cane, capital J shaped thing. And then the basic concept, you lay it flat and you slip it underneath the door, and you're going to stand it up, and then you're going to loop it over an ADA compliant handle. These are the kind with the handles. They can open up or down to be compliant and stuff. And basically you're going to, on the side of the door that isn't locked, you're going to loop it over the handle and then pull down once you can feel that resistance. And once it opens, you just push it open. We have a full-size door downstairs you can test this out on. It's fun. Kids can do it too. Come tonight, we'll teach your kids how to break into doors. It's a great idea. See, this is from, I believe, Deviant uploaded this. But this is one they just made from a coat hanger. You can buy an actual one. You can make one for cheap. All you need is some wire or string and a hanger.
Yeah.
Basically, you pull down.
Keep going.
See what he meant about the string.
Right on, man.
Nice.
Boom. Throw on your hacker hoodie. Hacker, I'm in. Okay, so we've talked under. Let's talk over. I'm just going to show this because Lockpicking Lawyer uploaded this, and him and Deviant can do better than
Hard
explain
to
this than me.
recognize these days for the generation upon us now. This, my dear youngins, is called film. It used to come in your cameras.
I wouldn't even know where to get any of that.
I happily have a friend in Utah who gave me some. His name is InfoSec Pope, and he's actually the person who first showed me this technique, and we're all very grateful that he shared it with the world.
Shout out to Pope.
So what we're going to do is feed a loop over this door. All right? And as we're doing so, we know about how far we're dropping down. We know how far we want to drop down because the handle on the inside is going to match the handle on the outside, obviously. We get to about here. I need to make an extra step, which is right now we're flat against the door. I want this to bow out slightly. So I'm going to feed a little more of the outer loop, just a bit.
So the top side, it's laying on top of itself. You're going to want to inch the
Just
top side
enough.
down, but keep the bottom side.
And if we
As it
think
is.
we've got it, just got to walk it over.
We have this as well downstairs on the full-size door. Come and check it out. It would probably help you if you're doing the Los Santos challenge. Hint, hint.
Think we got it?
Also,
Let's
while
feel.
we're watching this, look at this door. There's about 5 different ways to
I
get
feel
into this
something.
door.
Fantastic.
Then this is a bit quicker because he doesn't have to explain it all as he walks through it, but this would definitely be an unoccupied room or after hours type thing, because otherwise you're going to think snake. It's a lot less covert, just saying, people screaming snake and running. Wait for it. I'm in.
So what do we do if we want to harden
Awesome.
our door against that?
I wonder if I can pause this.
Well,
I don't know if I can pause
couple
this.
of
Maybe I
things.
can.
You try to make sure the top of your door frame.
Oops, let's go back a little bit. So, real quick, what are the 5 ways you could have got into this door? Just shout them out. Pop the hinge pins? Pop the hinge pins? What else? This is the first slide I talked about. Lloyding. Okay. You could also have picked the lock. He's using the over. What else could you have used? If you can use the over, you can use the under the door. Oh, kick it in. Well, that actually swings towards him, so I wouldn't recommend. Yeah, in the back. There you go. Also on the keypad, depending on some keypads, you can actually slap a magnet on the side. So we're going to talk about magnets in a second. But yeah. Also, one thing I want to mention, when you're using bypass tools like under the door or over the door, before you start feeding it on the other side, measure it on the side that's facing you so you know exactly how far you need to go down or how far you need to like put under to reach up and get it. Makes it a lot quicker. Same with the thumb latch tool. Like figure out the angle you're going to need it at before you try to figure it out when you can't see what you're doing. Pro tip. I'm not a pro, but that's a tip. So yeah, hinge pins, for example. Okay, sensors, request to exit. I'm sure you've seen these. I'm sure you've heard them click, different things like that. Sorry, this keeps falling down. There's some different ways around this. Who can think of a few? Compressed air, yep. Another video. So, get compressed air, hold it upside down. That's right. You can also use you can get a piece of paper or a long piece of cardboard and wave it underneath, or you could, or you could do a couple of other things like one of those long inflatable balloons. If you could somehow rig an inflatable party sheep and get that under the door and inflate it, I don't know. There's literally fives of possibilities. So, decoding, this is another thing you can do. We have a couple of these locks downstairs, and basically, this is where you would fill inside with a decoder tool. It's a lot thinner than a lockpick, and basically, you're going to fill the gates on those wheels to try to figure out the combination. I don't have a good video on that. Downstairs, we can teach you how to do this by touch, which is helpful as well. We have a couple locks where we can teach you this. Makes escape rooms a lot easier if you know how to do this by hand. So we'll teach you how to do that. Okay, combing. LPL talked about this in his talk. We have a couple comb picks downstairs and a couple locks susceptible to this. But this is basically, I consider this picking because you're actually attacking the pins. So bypass, there's a whole argument on Reddit somewhere about this, if this is picking or bypassing. I don't care. Anyway, this is something you could do. So basically what you're doing here, if you can see in the green one, the exact same image LPL used, he's actually pushing, or the person is actually pushing up both sets of pins in each stack so high above it. So if you have it properly machined and you can't push it all the way up, you wouldn't be susceptible to this combing attack. But with basically a comb, you push them all the way up and turn it. Come on down to Lockpick Village. We have a couple comb picks. You can also buy these. It's really simple. Padlock shims. We do have some of these, and I just remembered I left them in the box, so they haven't been on the tables yet. But basic concept with these padlock shims is you can put them around the sides and actually disengage the locking pawls. Locking pawls? I'm not sure what it's called. I'm having a brain fart right now. But basically you put those in and move it, and then you can pop open the padlocks with that. You can also make these yourself out of pop cans. I don't recommend it because it's kind of sharp and it can actually break off. And here's a picture of someone, I don't remember who, making one on the spot at the vault. This was SAINTCON 2017. There was a padlock and I'm going to just shim this. Magnets. This is going to be a quick one because we're almost out of time. But magnets, so this would be like your combination doors.
If you look, that's the actuator there, so you can watch it. As I turn it, no code, it's not opening. But take the magneto, put it onto the side, and now watch the actuator, and it goes. It really is that simple. It's almost voodoo-like. Take it off, put it to the side, watch the actuator, turn, not opening anymore. And that's the magneto. When it gets to your house, just be careful unpackaging it. Sucker strong. The Magneto by Sparrows.
You can get it from Sparrows. They even have magnets that, I think it's on LPL site, that you can actually turn on and off. You can actually activate so you can safely carry it around with you. I don't recommend carrying it in your pocket next to your phone or your metallic prosthetic leg, things like that. The thumb latch tool, this is a dangerous one. This one's kind of fun. We have one downstairs. Come and try it out. Learn how to use it. You can get these on websites as well. And you can even get them on Etsy. I saw a whole bunch on Etsy once. But the basic concept with this is you reach in through a door, typically one that has windows, or like the California, all glass doors and the lock's clear on the bottom. Basically, you'll reach in and just turn the thumb latch and let yourself right in. Why try to pick this lock when you can just reach around and do it? Thumb latch tool. Now for kids. Okay, kind of a recap, some of the tools. This is nowhere near the amount of tools, and you can make a lot of these tools yourself, which is actually more fun. Under the door tool, you can make it, you can buy it. The double door tool, we do have one of these, but we don't have any double doors we can test it on, unless we want to tick off the event staff here. But this is basically a tool that you will reach through a double doors and then twist it 90 degrees and then pull on the crash bar or the push bar to open from the inside. I got a video of it. Mini gyms, these are the decoders, these orange things where you can fill the combination wheels and stuff. This is called a gate pass, but basically, sometimes you think, oh, I don't want people loading my thing, so I'll put a big faceplate over the front of it. Well, you just get a tall enough piece of metal and you go on top of it and you go behind it. Boom, you're open. Couple resources. Not So Civil Engineer has a bunch of great YouTube videos. Deviant's channel has a bunch of YouTube and talks where he's talked about it. Lock Bypass Village, they have videos, and bypassvillage.org. Coastal fire training. So these are respectful entry firefighter videos and tools that they can use to basically get into things. So instead of just going after it with your Hanglin tool or whatever, they have there's more respectful, easier ways to use. So these same concepts for bypassing, they teach to firefighters. So that's really cool. Also, we have a copy of this book downstairs. I bought it. It's called Tactical Lockpicking. My only complaint, it should be called Tactical Lockpicking and Bypassing because it talks about a lot of bypassing. Also like decoding like key boxes that are like on Airbnbs or realtor things and stuff like that. But it's a great resource. And that is pretty much my talk. I think this is just a bunch of videos of different ways you can do things. So, do you want to turn down the audio track? And if anyone has questions, I'll just answer them as we watch these. But does anyone have any questions or comments or heckling they don't want to type? For round doorknobs, was it like a reach up and kind of a... That's awesome. I'd love to see that. So what he said, if you didn't hear it, several years ago at the U, they had a under the door tool for round doorknob style, not the handle style, but the doorknob style that reach up and around. And you can get creative. You can make these things on your own. So, yeah, there's a random piece of plastic. Just, shove it in. Bam, network closet. So, what do we take from this? How much money do we spend on firewalls and networking and protecting our corporate infrastructure? And then we put a $15 hardware store lock on our network closet. So, that's an example of the gate tool. Did everyone see that? Goes behind. Here's the double door tool where you just pop it open. Here's another double door tool. Obviously at a hotel or a conference center or sometime. I didn't want to try it and get in trouble. I feel like some cooler hacker music would be good with this, but on the video it's like this meditation, calming stuff. It's just not near as fun. Boom. You can use that, or in a pinch, if you don't have compressed air, you can make your own. Any flavor you want, tangerine, blueberry, Or if you have some scotch, that works too. This is one of Lockpicking Lawyer's videos. So he was talking about illegal park booting situation. So he had this, that's a tubular lockpick. We have one of those downstairs. It's hidden, but if anyone has a tubular lock and want to play with that a little bit, we have that. We also have some of these in the Los Santos Challenge. I shouldn't show this because we have this exact model of safe that has the lockpicking RFID tag in it. This is another lockpicking lawyer video. I have a feeling after this conference that safe is going to need to be completely rebuilt or replaced. So a really expensive tool, that's called a coat hanger. Probably shouldn't have shown that at this conference because we have that exact one in the Lockpick Village, but there you go. So this is the California no hinge, no insulation thing. They always do this in California, just glass doors, and that's what I'm protecting my Teslas with. So here's Deviant again with the thumb latch tool. Black hoodie on, whispers, I'm in. And that's my presentation. I'll be downstairs. Come by, check out the stuff. It'll be fun. And yeah, thanks everyone. Lockpicking 101 for real is next.